Hello and welcome to an essay discussion. This is a topic that a student shared with me today. She wrote an answer and I have pasted the link to the question to that answer below this YouTube video. Just go to that answer and read her mistakes. The purpose of this video is to discuss this question so that if you go through the mistakes of the question, you'll understand that there are a number of elements a student got wrong. The intention here is to understand how those mistakes could have been avoided. What steps should a student take to write a good answer on this question? Well, the question is the majority of news being reported is bad news such as wars, famines, accidents, and crimes. Why do you think that is, and do you think the news should be a balance of both good and bad news? Now, before writing this question, you should ask yourself what is a bad news and what is a good news. Let us try to understand the difference. A good news is one which is more related to development, progress, the march of civilization. A bad news is about the things mentioned over here: wars, famines, accidents, crime. But what are wars, famines, accidents, and crime? They are destruction. They are destroying something. They create a feeling of insecurity, anxiety in individuals. So these words should strike your brain while you are thinking about bad news. And this is what you need to write down in your brainstorming session. So it's about destruction. And moreover, it is sensational in nature. Everybody loves watching a negative news. That's perhaps built in psychology of humans. We respond better to something which is destructive, that it captures our attention. So these are the words that you need to bring in your mind before you begin answering the question. So clearly understand what is a good news and what is a bad news. In good news, you can talk about development progress, scientific progress, educational progress, or infrastructural progress. There is perhaps a national highway building program in your country, in your state. So that's infrastructural progress. You need to know about it, not just about bad news, but about good news as well. So if you understand the difference between the two, there is ample material to discuss. Now, how should you approach the question once you have understood the difference? The first thing is to answer the first element of the question and then answer the second element. Now, until and unless you have thought about these two, do not move to introduction. So step one is first question: why do people watch bad news? Why is majority of news bad news? Step 2 is why do we need a balance? Step 3 is writing an introduction, and step 4 is thinking about conclusion. So this is a brainstorming process. This is not the actual writing of essay. This is brainstorming. And you should basically at this moment think about the topic and then only attempt it. So you have about 10 minutes to go through it, okay? So why do people watch bad news? Why do you think bad news is telecasted so much on the media? So your focus should not only be print media, but all forms of media, be it internet, television, YouTube, or even the print media. So there is an idea. You can carry just one idea and explain it completely. This is what I have done. I've just taken one idea that bad news is psychologically more appealing to humans. So psychologically, humans are inclined towards watching bad news. That's my point. Since humans are inclined towards watching bad news, there is a demand for this. There is an audience available. And since an audience is available, the news media will telecast that. The remaining part is just focused on explaining why. Why is this shown? Why are humans inclined? And what are the impacts? How does it help the media? Okay, so they pay more attention to danger, insecurity, and that is why they are more inclined and a demand crops up. So idea explained in the next sentence. And what is the impact? It increases the TRP of media houses, increases their revenue, the advertisement revenue, and you can give an example. So for instance, you take example of London bombings. The focus of entire community, entire world was on who was responsible for London bombings. Um, there were conjectures about a particular religion, which ultimately, in some cases, proved wrong. So the entire media was focusing on bombings in London and everything, the good, positive news. There must have been some good, positive news during that period, but it was shunted out. Similarly, the Nirbhaya case, rape case in India, the entire media was caught in capturing what exactly was the progress of this case. There was a rape case and there was a murder of a young woman. So the entire media focused just on this bad news and all the good news was shunted out. Similarly, John Edwards case in the US, where a black guy, a black kid, sorry, was shot by a white police officer. So this was something related to racial tensions. And the entire media focused on these three problems. I mean, you can choose your own country's problem. So the entire media's attention was on bad news and some good news was shunted out. I'm nowhere suggesting that coverage of these events was not important. This is important for existence of society, that these things should not happen. However, the entire media focused on it for months, for days, for weeks, and that somehow shunted out the good news. You can give some example from your own society. Okay, why do we need a balance? That's the second part of the question. So once you have mentioned the idea and explained it, it's time to think about the second body paragraph. You need not explain this in great detail, just an idea and explain it in one sentence. So you have four sentences. One, first sentence on idea one, second sentence on explaining about idea one, the third sentence is on idea 2 and the fourth sentence is explaining about idea 2. And I've mentioned a few things over here related to social harmony. It promotes security, reduces anxiety among individuals if there is a combination of good news and bad news. So the people will not think, okay, everything is in a crisis mode. They will be more neutral and they will be more balanced. Um, it promotes knowledge about various developments and progress works in your society. So it creates a feeling of unity. It creates a feeling, okay, something is good around me. You can give examples as well. So in the next sentence, you can talk about scientific progress on some space exploration, or there was, I guess, some neutron-related news recently. Um, some speed of neutron and they discovered a particle. I forgot, there was a particle that was discovered. If that is in your mind, you can talk about it. Okay, once you are done with these two steps, once you're done with the body paragraphs, body paragraph 1, this is body paragraph 1, and this is body paragraph 2, it is time to think about introduction. Introduction is basically just about the body paragraphs. It is mentioning about body paragraphs in brief. So you can briefly mention the ideas you intend to explain in the body paragraphs, and this will help you create a good introduction. Finally, the conclusion, it has to be futuristic in nature. If you write a futuristic conclusion that if there is a balance of two types of news, it will be beneficial for the society, make society more stable, more harmonious. That will be a better conclusion. You can, for remaining things, you can go through the answer correction and go through my comments on how things could have been written better. So this was my take on this essay. I hope it was a good learning experience. Thank you for watching the video and stay tuned for more interesting stuff. And do not forget to share it with your friends. Goodbye.